It's so hot in here. This is my baby boo tofu. Thank you for kisses. How was your nap? In my head, this guy must know more than me, right? Because he's been in the field for so long, and this is my first job, so what the hell do I know? A lot of red flags, how petty he was, how he spent years going after this lady. In addition to that, I was honestly scared to leave. Thank you for kisses. How was your nap? I just did not want to get on his bad side. But that is what made it so toxic. Like, at this rate, I constantly was making excuses for him. I constantly, saw the red flags, but chose to ignore it because he had made it seem like the good things were coming very soon. The good things were coming very soon. And plus, on top of all of that, he owed me a lot of money. He owed me, I don't know, 4 or 5 checks, however the amount. And I just felt like if I left, then that money would be down the drain. And I was held on by that. I figured this job did not require too much time out of my day anyways, that I can live with it. Don't get me wrong, I am extremely grateful for all that he has given me. I am extremely grateful for the opportunities he had brought forth, for actually listening to what I had to say, for using my ideas and making me not feel small like I probably would have in another entry-level job. But regardless of all those things, regardless of all the good things that he was giving me, it was just very, very toxic. So another 6 months went by. By this time, I've been with the company for a year now, and I was still only getting paid for 2 projects, making it $1,500 a month, which would not even cover my rent. By this time, I've been with the company for a year now, and I was still getting paid for only 2 projects, even though, like I mentioned, I did a lot of other things for him on the side that was never paid for. I was using my own gas. He would use us like his personal drivers, and if we did not show up, then he would make it seem like we did not have good work ethic. But boy, you wasn't even paying me. Like, you owed me money, and you are using me like I'm your personal driver? I was over it. 1 year was long enough for me to waste in this company, and I had really wanted to leave, and I kept bringing it up to him. I kept saying that I needed a change, that this wasn't working out for me, and maybe I just need to look for other venues and to start elsewhere. He then comes and gives me what I want. He tempts me with salary talk, saying that I get to choose my salary, but it has to be reasonable, and that it will get higher and higher as time goes. I was finally going to be an employee. Mind you, by this time, he had no employees. I'm not saying that there was nobody working for him. There was people at the office all the time, but we were all on there as contracted employees. He built this company based off of very shady intentions. And I say this because as things kept unraveling, he was always able to save his ass. He had us on 1099, which meant that we were self-employed and that we were contracted on. I felt like I could not go after him for wages because I was a contracted employee. And like I said, he had nothing to his name. He made sure that if people went after him, he had nothing to lose. As 1099, we also did not get benefits, so he was saving himself a lot of money. That plus other things. He told me that we had this big investment coming in, and that a good chunk of that money would be on reserve for my salary, that I would not have missing checks anymore, because if there wasn't money in the account to pay me, then they would just go and take out of that fund. I would finally get benefits. It was just looking good again, right? It seemed like finally I'm there. I'm finally at the promised land. I was like, wow, like this is finally looking good, right? This is what I've been waiting for this whole year, and it's finally paying off. I am at this job where it's easy, where I'm getting decent pay, where I am being heard, where I have a lot of freedom, perform the things that I wanted to do. Now, if that was the case, we would not be talking about this story. So let's get back to it. The deal on the table at that time was that yes, he could offer me all these things, but because the big investment was so close but so far, like so close, we were expected to get it in like February or March, and he gave me that offer, I want to say either end of January or beginning of February. And it took me some time to think about it. I had a lot to consider. I've been with the company for a year now and nothing has really changed. Is it really worth it for me to stay, or should I just go somewhere else? But that was also when everyone was getting laid off. So I was just thinking to myself, hey, at least I had a job. I had a job where I could work and still get paid, so why not? Eventually, I had agreed to the salary offer, even though the agreement was that a big chunk of it will be deferred until that big investment comes. I figured, what's the difference if I take that salary offer or not, if either way I'm going to get paid the same? It's just one of the options. If I take the salary, then I would get more money deferred toward the end. Once that big investment come, I would have more money. Once I accepted that salary offer, I felt like I was finally where I wanted to be. I was finally getting paid. This was what I was waiting for, and I was no longer questioning if I was being taken advantage of, which weighed really heavily on me at that time. Every single time I went to work, I would come back feeling like, man, like, is this guy taking advantage of me? What should I do? Should I leave? Should I leave? Like, what's going on? So when I accepted the offer, it was in March, so I would start getting, payments deferred, starting March. I was still getting paid my usual amount, but I have more money coming in once that big investment comes. And this was at the beginning of coronavirus, beginning of shelter in place, and a lot of businesses were getting hit. With our clients' businesses getting hit, we had to come up with different operation models to combat what was coming at that time. One of the clients that I worked with the most was the restaurant that I helped start. By this time, they had 3 different restaurants already, all within a year. And I was really trying hard to save them. A lot of the restaurant employees were getting laid off. And for me, I was in charge of the online accounts and online expansion. By this time, I was putting in 10, 12 hours a day into my work. This was also when shelter in place started happening, so I didn't really have to go anywhere. I just woke up, hopped straight to my desk, went to work, like nonstop. Got to a point where I barely ate. When friends came over, I would say hi, and I would come back into the room and just kept doing work. I was not doing anything else. But after 2.5 weeks of that, I started questioning if what I was feeling was going to last. Because guess what? Once again, missing checks. That big investment was always held up. First, it was a big amount transferring from out of the country, so they had to go through all these different hurdles. He had owed me like 4 or 5 checks at this time, some from previous. And that feeling just got halted right away. And reality kind of sank back in that I wasn't going to get paid. Still, that what I was feeling was not being matched by what the company was paying me or giving to me. I want to say that I wasn't the only one that wasn't getting paid. The whole company wasn't getting paid. If anything, he had made it seem like I was at least getting paid more than those that were under me. So therefore, I should be grateful. That was when I kind of slowed things down a bit. No more giving my endless hours to this guy who obviously did not have my best interest in mind. And once again, I went up to him and I had told him, you know what, things need to change. At that time, I felt like I was stuck in one place in my life. Stuck in this predicament of not getting paid enough, constant missing checks. I was very uncertain of where my future was heading. Being in quarantine allowed me to really sit down and think. I think in the past, whenever I wanted to leave, life just kept moving. And the longer I took to make that decision, the more okay I was to continue rolling along. But being in quarantine gave me that time to pause life, to step back and look at the bigger picture and really just take that leap of faith and say, no, I did not want this anymore. It was coming up to 1.5 years since I started working with this company, and it was just way too much. The investment wasn't coming in. A lot of the things were sounding very fishy. So I finally got the courage to go in and give my 2 weeks. I went into the office to tell him personally because I felt like, that's something that I should say in person. I was very grateful for all that he has taught me, regardless of how things went, and I felt like he deserved that. At first, he said he understood where I was coming from, like he did all the previous time, but he quickly tried to keep me from leaving. He said if wages was the problem, then let him at least try to fix that before I really make that jump to leave. I suck at saying no to people, so I said maybe, and I went on with my day. Within that same hour, he hopped on the phone with my client at the restaurant, and he had told him what the situation was, and my client then agrees to pay the rest of the salary that he owed me to make up for that full amount that he had promised. This was huge. I mean, like, at least now the responsibility isn't all just on him. At least now the responsibility isn't all just on him. Part of the responsibility was on this other client. It just was not as risky. I did not really agree to stay. I just kind of said okay to acknowledge it. At that time, I had told him that I had other offers to work elsewhere, which was not true. I felt like I needed to make up that story just so I had an excuse to leave, which is ridiculous. Like, I was so scared of leaving this guy that I had to make up a dumb story to leave. Once more, I thought, okay, it was going to get better. I know, like, at this rate, I am so dumb for, I hear it myself, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I have been a person that have always been super conscious about toxic relationships in a romantic manner. I am always vocal about, no, you should never put yourself in that position, but I would have never imagined for me to be in that position in my work life. Then 2 weeks go by, and guess what? Another missing check. At this rate, I am so embarrassed to even keep saying that. Why? Why do I keep doing this? I owed him nothing. If anything, he owed me a lot. So for me to feel like I had the obligation to stay for his well-being, for the well-being of his company, even though that company was not keeping my well-being in mind, that was it. I called him. This time I didn't even want to go to the office anymore. I did not want to give him the opportunity to persuade me to stay. I just called him and I said, hey, this is not working out. I really think I need to leave. He said, okay. And he told me to just transfer everything to him, which was fine. That ended up being a lot easier than I thought it would be. So I thought, dang, I got let off the hook. Easy, let's go. I did my calculations. By the time that phone call happened, he had owed me $10K in wages. $10K! Like, what? So that was when I told him that I would not send anything over until he or the company agrees to pay me what I'm owed. I'm not even requiring them to pay me right away. I know that the company is not in the best situation and that they would have no money to pay me anyway. So I just needed some type of guarantee for us to both be on the same page that he owes me this much money. That was when it took a turn for the worse. He started threatening me. He started telling me that he could blacklist me. He told me things like, who the hell do you think you are? Are you really doing this to me right now? I'm gonna, your ass. He said, I'm gonna blank your ass. Like, he used his name as a fucking verb because he is so narcissistic. At this rate, it was just way too much. I did not even want to play into his game anymore. I did not want to respond to him. All I wanted was to get my money that I'm owed. He ended up forfeiting all that I had on him, which is fine. I don't care because most of the work that I did was for my main client anyway at the restaurant. And when they heard about what was going on and that I was truly going to leave this time, they just told me to work for them instead and not go through the middleman, which ended up being a way sweeter deal for me anyway. It took me so long to finally take that leap to not be scared because I was so scared. Like, I was so scared of this guy because I knew of his temper. I knew of his ridiculous temper and outrage. And I just wasn't sure what he was going to do to me if I left. He kept talking about how he would blacklist me that I would never find job in this industry again in the Bay Area. This is a guy that had influence and used it in all the wrong ways. It got to a point where I was scared to leave him because I was scared that by leaving him, I would somehow then get kicked out of my bartending job just because he is a regular there. Not to say that he has any power over the situation, but he was a guy who would throw tantrums and throw threats until he gets what he wanted. After I told him that I was leaving, I wrote him a message kind of thanking him for all that he has done for me and that I hope that he could stay like a mentor figure in my life. And his response to me was, "We're done. Just give me back what is mine and we're done." This was extremely childish, but this was not something that I would put past him. I knew this was coming and I had mentally prepared myself for it. That was when I tried to take things to a more professional level. We had conversations only over email and it included our accountant. He denied what he owed me, of course. He only paid very partial of it, not even half of it, and he tried to tell me to go get it from my client, even though that agreement of the whole salary thing was not with my client, it was with him. His whole reasoning for why I did not deserve to be paid was because I did not show up to work and I did not go into the office since I was put on salary. Mind you, I was put on salary in March. That was when shelter in place happened. I was literally giving my whole life to this guy. I was doing like 10, 12 hours of work a day. I would wake up and hop straight into my desk until I went to sleep. I was barely eating. I would be on phone conversations, phone calls, phone conferences, like throughout all hours of the day. And somehow in his mind, his reasoning was I did not go into work. Therefore, I should not get paid. Bruh, nobody was going into work at that time. What is your reasoning right there? Like, do you even make sense? More things followed after that. Different employees of his came to me and started trying to like say this and that. And it was just really toxic and really horrible. But at the end, I honestly felt really bad for those people because throughout my whole year and a half there, I was so jealous of everyone that came and went. I was so jealous of the people who were able to step away from this toxic environment. And I was like, I'm over it. I need to be that person. I need to be the one to step away. After I left, I tried to talk to one of the female employees there who was trying to ask me about current projects at the time. I was trying to talk to her and make her realize what he is doing. He has been hanging that carrot in front of me since the very beginning, a year and a half ago. We've been in a pickle since the beginning, since a year and a half ago. So what makes it any different now? I feel like I have no ground to sue him on because we never signed any contract. Everything was over word of mouth and vocally agreed upon and mutual understanding. Nothing was on contract. I felt like I had no ground to sue him on. That's also why I knew he had the intent to do shady things ever since the beginning, because every single step that he fucked up on, I would not be able to get him back because of one way or another. I just did not want to give him any more of my time and emotion. I was on to better things in my life, and honestly, I just wanted to get away from that toxic relationship, that toxic environment. I've been manipulated long enough. I felt like I have wasted enough of my time on this guy, on his company, on his dream, that I am like so willing to help build up when he did not give a fuck about my situation. And honestly, it was not worth it. It was not worth to give him more time, to put myself through a roller coaster of emotions. I just wanted to drop everything and move on with my life, especially because that was when my partner and I had bought Van Venture, and I did not want him to somehow ruin that for me. That is such a crazy story. Like, who does that? It honestly felt like I was trying to get away from like a toxic relationship. Well guys, thanks for staying and watching the story to the end. This story does not have a happy ending. I'm never gonna get paid when I'm old. I can't sue, or I feel like I can't sue just because I never actually like signed any contracts. I don't know, and it just doesn't make sense. Like, a couple $1,000s, yes, but for me to hire a lawyer to just get that is dumb. I wanted to do something to him, so he never do this again to other people, because obviously he's still doing it to other people. But I mean, I tried talking to the chick who's still working with him, you know? And if she chooses not to listen to me, then that's on her. And I am in a better place. I am in a better position in my life. It was the best thing that happened out of my whole time being with him, I want to say, just because, like, I was so scared to leave for so long, and then right when I left, everything just was way better than I could have imagined it. I was in a better position in my life, like career-wise, personal life, professional life. Just a lot of really good things happened this quarantine, and I just don't want to have that negative impact to keep weighing down on me, and that was why I needed to just drop it. Not even worth my time. It is what it is, but hey, it made for good content, so sub somewhere. This is my first story time, so I don't even know. Sub somewhere here, please. Okay, not please, but sub if you want to watch more from me. I actually don't know what the heck I'm gonna post about yet. I'm gonna do a bunch of like story time stuff. I'm gonna talk about just crazy shit that has happened in my life, and I'm gonna do travel vlogs. I have a bunch of old content that I want to go through and actually post up. I've been collecting content from like years ago, wanting to start this damn YouTube channel, and now I'm finally here, so it's gonna happen. Figured everyone's bored at home anyway during quarantine, so y'all could watch me travel from like years back, I guess. What else am I gonna do? I don't know. I kind of want to do daily vlogs, but ain't really much happening right now in my life because of quarantine. So yeah, thanks for joining me on my journey, and I hope to see you guys soon.